Hello everyone, welcome to Apti Plus Academy for Civil Services. This is a video on daily news and editorial analysis, which I'll be covering from the Hindu and Indian Express. The most important news and editorial of the day that is relevant for both prelims and mains examination perspective of civil services will be discussed in this session. Let's get started with the news topic list. Today is 30th of November. The first important news that is NITI Aayog proposes decarbonising of industrial emission. Second, Reserve Bank of India to launch first pilot of retail digital payment, which RBI has already envisaged for coming up with a digital payment system in the country. Third, UNDP to help worker access to the government scheme. So this is to provide them the information regarding the beneficiaries and even the government scheme that is actually helping. Fourth, UK Prime Minister says that golden era with China is over and UK is looking forward for many other emerging countries that can have a bilateral relationship with the United Kingdom. The last is an editorial settling the language for cooperative federalism. Apart from the news and editorial discussion, at the end of this video, there will be MCQ based questions. These questions will be based on current affairs that will help you for the upcoming prelims examination. So without any further delay, let's get started. And before I begin this session, those of you who are new to our channel, do not forget to subscribe Apti Plus Academy for Civil Services on YouTube. If you like this video, if you find this video informative and helpful for examination purposes, do press a like button. Starting the session with the first news of the day, that is NITI Aayog proposes decarbonization of industries emission. Something important for General Studies Paper 2 under the subtopic that is the government policies and intervention for the development of various sectors and issues arising from a design and implementation. At the same time, it is also important for your General Studies Paper 3 where conservation, environmental pollutions and EIA is concerned. So, according to the latest report on the policy framework of the carbon capture, utilization, and storage, which was prepared by the NITI Aayog in collaboration with MN Dastoor and Company, they have said that the CCUS, that is the carbon capture, utilization, and storage technology for decarbonizing emission, has a critical role to play in countries to have half the carbon dioxide emissions by 2050. तो जो हमारी कंट्री की जितनी एमिशंस है कार्बन की बाय 2050 उसको रिड्यूस करने के लिए उसको हाफ करने के लिए CCUS जैसा मेथडोलॉजी हमें यूज करने की जरूरत है अक्रॉस द ऑल इंपॉर्टेंट सेक्टर्स. So the high polluting sectors in India specifically include the steel, cement, oil, gas, petrochemicals, chemicals, and fertilizers. So if CCUS, that is the carbon capture, utilization, and storage is being used, we can halve the number of the carbon emissions by 2050. The report was published by the NITI Aayog and said that CCUS technology will help in promoting the low carbon hydrogen economy and in the removal of CO2 stock from the atmosphere. So this can be the right way and right approach from the government end to ensure that जो कार्बन डाइऑक्साइड की इमिशंस है उसको हाफ की जाए एंड जो टारगेट है 2050 की वो अचीव हो. Now about CCUS, the carbon capture, utilization and storage, this encompasses methods and technology to remove the CO2 from the fluid gases and from the atmosphere, followed by recycling of CO2 for the utilization and determining of the safe and permanent storage opinion. CCUS has an important and critical role to play, and especially for India to accomplish the net zero emissions by 2070. Because India has already come up with this pledge that India would be achieving the net zero emissions by 2070. And Prime Minister during the COP27 meeting has categorically promised that India will achieve this, and a Panchamrit initiative was also the part of this. Now, why CCUS? How this technology and methodology is going to help? So, despite the adaptations of alternative energy sources and energy efficient system, अगर बात करें रेट ऑफ रिडक्शंस की CO2 में तो क्यूमुलेटिव अमाउंट ऑफ CO2 का अगर देखें एटमॉस्फेयर में दैट नीड टू बी रिड्यूस्ड एंड इट हैज़ अ डेक्रीमेंटल इम्पैक्ट ऑन द क्लाइमेट चेंज. बहुत ही डेवास्टिकेटिंग इम्पैक्ट नोटिस की गई हैं IPCC के रिपोर्ट्स में. इट हैज़ ऑल्सो सेड that the glaciers are also melting because of the high rise temperatures. Therefore, regardless of the deployment of the clean and efficient energy solutions, CCUS technology need to be implemented at the earliest to the larger extent of the sectors. Now, this technology, that is CCUS, could enable the productions of clean products while utilizing the rich endowment of the coals, reducing import, thus leading to the self-reliance India economy. And this technology, that is the CCUS technology, can an important player in terms of enabling the sunshine sector, such as coal classifications की अगर बात करें, and even the nascent hydrogen economy in India. So we need to have an alternate source of energy where the emissions of carbon is on the lower side. That should be the sole and pivotal criteria for the government of India and even for many other countries looking forward for the low carbon emissions. Now, sustainable solutions की अगर बात करें, नीति आयोग is trying to develop a consensus with other ministries in the government of India to reduce the rate of CO2, and there's a need for sustainable solutions for the decarbonization of the sector that contribute 70% of the emissions, right? So even if it is being achieved, India would be at the greater extent and in a comfortable situations to achieve all the target that is already envisaged in the SDG. अगर SDG की बात करें या फिर COP 26 की बात करें, COP 26 के भी टारगेट्स इंडिया को अचीव करनी है. The recent one with regards to COP 27. So these are some of the part of the thing that India has to achieve, and nonetheless Paris climate change भी अपने आप में काफी important. Now, looking at these images, you can make out that industries that are responsible for 1/3 of the greenhouse gas emission. So the highest number is being contributed by the industries, then followed by building, then transportation, agriculture, and other sector. So these are the sector that contribute close to 1/3 of the global greenhouse gas emission. And even you can use this pie chart diagram in your maths paper as well. Now moving to the other news, RBI to launch first pilot of retail digital rupees, something important for General Studies paper 3, that is Indian economy and issues related to planning, mobilization of resources, growth and development. Reserve Bank of India is set to launch the first pilot pieces of the retail digital e-rupee in Mumbai, Delhi, Bangalore, Bhubaneswar on December 1st, 2022, that is by tomorrow. The pilot program will further expand to 9 more cities in initial phase, and this will follow after RBI's standard pilot policies on digital rupee, that is the wholesale segment, in November 2022. The government, and even in collaborations with the RBI has come up with the vision to ensure कि इंडिया में डिजिटल पेमेंट्स जो है वो प्रमोट की जाए एज अ लीगल टेंडर. Now, what is digital currency roadmap? The government of India has announced the launch of digital rupee from the fiscal year 2022 and 23. This was categorically announced in the union budget, and even during the budget it was stable. The parliament में ये सारी बातें रखी गई कि किस तरह से इंडिया की क्या visions हैं in terms of current with the digital currency. The recent concept of the central bank digital currency, the RBI said that this is aimed to complement rather than replace the current form of money. तो जिस भी फॉर्म में मनी अभी काम कर रही है इंडिया में, इकोनॉमी में जैसे ऑपरेशनल है, वो वैसी बनी रहेगी. जो डिजिटल पेमेंट है वो उनको कॉम्प्लीमेंट करेगी, सप्लीमेंट करेगी, एंड इट विल बी ऑथराइजिंग द डिजिटल पेमेंट एज अ लीगल टेंडर फॉर इंडिया. Now, across the globe, more than 60 central banks have experienced or expressed their interest in the CBDCs. Central bank digital currency की अगर बात करें, this is something very important and very basics for the prelims examination as well. So it's a digital form of currency notes that is issued by the central bank. In India specifically, the central bank is RBI. Every country has its own central bank, right? While most central banks across the globe are exploring the issuance of CBDC as a key motivator for its key issuance and specific to each country unique requirement. हर एक countries के economy के हिसाब से उनकी ज़रूरतें अलग है. Accordingly, the digital payment system can be formulated. Now, India की अगर बात करें, इंडिया के जो डिजिटल पेमेंट रुपीज होंगी, दैट वुड बी इन द फॉर्म ऑफ डिजिटल टोकन दैट रिप्रेजेंट द लीगल टेंडर. दिस वुड बी इशूड ऑन द सेम डिनोमिनेशन दैट इज इशूड ऑन द पेपर. कॉइन्स एंड कॉइन्स जिस तरह से फॉर्मेट में है, उसी सब चीजें सेम होंगी, बट दैट वुड बी इन अ डिजिटल फॉर्मेट. द डिजिटल रुपीज वुड बी डिस्ट्रीब्यूटेड थ्रू इंटरमीडियरीज बैंक. Now, if you look into the CBDC part, where it is actually helping, इसकी broad spectrum है, broad perspective है जहाँ पे ये काम करेंगी, and these are some of the very important point that you can even use in the mains paper. Mains में आप इस तरह के सवाल आए तो आप इन्हें जरूर highlight करें. So first, supporting the resilience payment landscape, avoiding the risk of new form of private money creations, supporting the competition, efficient and innovation of the payments. Further, मीटिंग फ्यूचर पेमेंट नीड्स इन द डिजिटल इकोनॉमी. जिस तरह से चीज़ें इवॉल्व हो रही है, टेक्नोलॉजी अपग्रेड हो रही है, तो डिजिटल इकोनॉमी की तरफ आगे इंडिया बढ़ रही है. इम्प्रूविंग द अवेलेबिलिटी ऑफ usability of the central bank money, addressing the consequences of the declining cash, and as a building block of the better across the border payments. Now, types of e-rupees जो conceptualize की गई हैं इसको लेकर के, so based on the uses and functioning that is performed by the digital rupees, considering the different level of accessibility, the RBI has demarcated the digital rupee into two broad categories. The first is the retail category and the other is the wholesale category. Now, what is retail and wholesale? We'll look into that one by one. So retail की अगर बात करें, retail rupee is an electronic versions of cash primarily meant for the retail transaction, and it will be potentially available for all users by private sector, non-financial consumer and businesses, which can provide access to safe money for payment and settlement as it is directly liable of the central bank. What is wholesale rupee? Wholesale rupee is again designed for restricted access to select financial institutions. It has the potential to transform the settlement system for financial transaction under the bank, और इसमें गवर्नमेंट सिक्योरिटीज के सेगमेंट होंगे, इंटर बैंक्स मार्केट होंगी, कैपिटल मार्केट्स होंगी, विच विल बी मोर एफिशिएंट एंड सिक्योर इन टर्म्स ऑफ ऑपरेशनलाइजेशन कॉस्ट, use of collateral and liquidity management. So this will be done on a broad level, and major instrument will be the part of the wholesale e-rupees, whereas in retail it will be looking into the aspect of retail segment and concerning an individual supply chain. Now, transactional methods की अगर बात करें, किस किस तरह से ट्रांजेक्शन प्रोसेस हो पाएंगे. द ट्रांजेक्शन कैन बी both person to person or person to merchant, and the payment to merchant can be made using the QR code displayed at the merchant location. Now, presently also we are using the QR code methodology. कई shops में आपने किया होगा QR, इधर Paytm, Google Pay, Phone Pay, these are the QR that is already available, right? The same thing will happen in this case. And this electronic wallet or electronic currency would have the feature of physical cash like trust, safety, and settlement finality. Now, ऑपरेशनल बैंक जो आरबीआई ने बेसिकली कंसेप्चुलाइज की हैं, किन किन बैंक को अभी पावर्स दी जाएंगी, ऑपरेशनल उनके पास होंगी ऑपरेशनलाइजेशन की पावर्स. So banks has been identified by the RBI, and these banks include the State Bank of India, ICICI Bank, Yes Bank, IDFC Bank, 4 more banks which include Bank of Baroda, Union Bank of India, HDFC Bank, and Kotak Mahindra Bank. This will be joining the pilot subsequently. And the 9 cities which has been later extended would include Ahmedabad, Gangtok, Guwahati, Hyderabad, Indore, Kochi, Lucknow, Patna, and Shimla. So gradually government will expand the cities as well, but initially 4 cities major cities में रखे गए और बाद में 9 और cities में इन्हें बढ़ाई जाएंगी. The scope of pilot may be expanded gradually to include more bank user and location as required and as demanded. Now moving to the other news, UNDP to help worker access to the government scheme. Important for General Studies paper 2 under the subsection that is the government schemes for the vulnerable section of the population by the center and the state government. So the United Nations Development Program, that is UNDP, is helping the worker in the waste segregation industries in India to move into the formal economy by helping them access to government welfare program. कई ऐसे government के welfare programs हैं जो कि इस industry से related workers के लिए हैं, but people are actually not aware about their rights, benefits that is being provided both by the central government as well as from the state government. So what UNDP is doing, they are acting as an aggregator to make people aware of their benefits and right that is provided by the central and state government. As a part of the initiative, the United Nations under Secretary General will distribute the Jan Dhan account kits to waste segregation worker, and the opening of the account has been facilitated through the UNDP Plastic Waste Management Program. The program will further have the collection, segregation, recycling of all plastic towards the circular economy. And this is very important to strengthen the economy. And this is classical example for working towards a bottom up approach. अगर आप case studies जैसे important question solve कर रहे हैं, make sure in the general studies paper 4 you highlight this as an example. आप कई जगह पे इस तरह की चीजों को utilize कर पाएंगे. Now, what is the aim of this initiative? The program of UNDP will ensure well-being of the financial inclusion of the Safai Sathis or the waste pickers by linking them to the social protection scheme that is envisaged by the central government, and some of the state government has dedicated scheme for the people. According to the UN agency, the key objective of this program is to move to the sector from the informal. Basically, जो informal सेक्टर्स में लोग काम कर रहे हैं उनको फॉर्मल सेक्टर्स के बेनिफिट्स दिए जाएं, चाहे वो पीएफ के बेनिफिट्स हों या भी और किसी तरह की इमोलमेंट्स हों. द यूएनडीपी हैज बीन असिस्टिंग द सफाई साथीज और यू कैन से द वेस्ट पिकर्स who contribute immensely to the resource management yet occupy the lowest rung on the ladders in terms of the circular economy. This is done by linking the worker to the social protection schemes such as Jan Dhan account, आधार कार्ड, आयुष्मान भारत जहाँ पे स्पेसिफिकली मेडिकल एड्स में बेनिफिट्स दी जाती हैं, एग्जाम्पशंस दी जाती हैं, एंड पेंशन स्कीम्स एंड स्कॉलरशिप फॉर द चिल्ड्रन टू हैव अ एजुकेशन फॉर बोथ. अगर प्री बात करें इंटरमीडिएट के लेवल पे भी होती है, क्लास 10 फ्रॉम 9 टू क्लास 10, फ्रॉम 8 टू क्लास 10, अलग अलग स्टेट्स की अलग अलग सेकेंडरी और सीनियर सेकेंडरी लेवल पे स्कॉलरशिप प्रोग्राम्स हैं. Now, moving to the other news, UK Prime Minister said that the golden era with China is over, something important for General Studies Paper 2, that is bilateral regional grouping and agreement involving India and affecting India's interest. So, in a first foreign speech which was made by the incumbent Prime Minister of UK, he has said that the golden era for the relations with China is over now, and he wrote that the evolving US stances toward the economy will look for an alternative path which is favoring the nation. The Prime Minister said that the UK has to replace wishful thinking with the robust pragmatism. Even they need to be practical on the parts towards their competitor as well. Now, India can be again definitely be in the limelight in terms of this decision that is taken by the United Kingdom. Now, the Prime Minister added that the UK would work together the close allies, including the United States, Canada, Australia, and Japan. He has not specifically mentioned India, but there can be a hint towards moving towards India, where India can manage the trade and FTA with the United Kingdom. Now, this will to manage the sharpening competition, including the diplomacy and engagement. And the Prime Minister of UK has also promised to maintain or increase the Britain military aid and provide new air support to protect the civilian and critical infrastructure. The committee in the UK is holding an inquiry into UK foreign policy in the Indo-Pacific region and how it can fix and maximize the influence there. So Indo-Pacific region की बात करें, so it is inevitable definitely that India would be the part of the game and initiative, and even to counter China, the part and development process taking from UK is very important. Now, about India and Ukraine, basically UK and Ukraine relations. Recently, the UK Prime Minister has met the Ukrainian President earlier in the month, and his visit to Kiev was something entering to the Downing Street. During the visit, he announced that the UK would supply Ukraine with additional anti-craft guns and radar and increase the training offered to the Ukraine armed forces. So, UK on its part has given support to Ukraine, where Russia is already trying to capture the entire Ukraine region. There's a lot of escalation that is on that part. Talking about India, India has categorically called for a diplomatic solutions toward this problem, and war is definitely not a solution at all. Now, talking about UK and China trade in terms of goods and services, you can see the data over here from 2010. This was $31 billion. Now, the total is up to $56 billion between the red in color is like for the UK import to China, and the blue in color is for the UK export to China. Now, the UK top 10 exporter partners की अगर बात करें, this is the United States of America, followed by Germany, France, Netherlands, Iceland, China. You can see the numbers 30.07, Switzerland, Italy, Spain, and Belgium. Moving to the editorial of the day, that is settling the language for cooperative federalism, something important for General Studies paper 2 under the subtopic that is function and responsibility of a union and its state, issues and challenges pertaining to the federal structure of our country. This editorial is written by Hamid Ansari, who is a former Vice President of India. So, what is the main theme under this editorial? The theme is language and the cooperative federalism. We'll be looking into the important aspects of this editorial and the issues that include languages and the state autonomy, dissent views from time to time, national language issues के बारे में बात करेंगे, and the way forward. So the cooperative federalism is a concept of stable relationship between the center and the state government to coordinate on the issues of common interest. India has remained uniquely unified despite the infinite multiplicity and the culture. India is a country with university and diversity, right? So diversity इतनी ज़्यादा है हमारे country में, and even the cultural prospect is on a higher side. So India is a country which has a variety and variant of cultures and diversity. Language is an essential ingredient of this identity, and the question of expressing the national identity in a linguistic diverse society is inevitable. Now, corporate federalism की अगर बात करें 2.0 में current context में कैसी चीजें होनी चाहिए, so they need to have an oversight, infrastructure development part should be there, rule making, budget, national program for the guidance, super fund, EPA state के बीच में जो sponsorship है, relationship है, that should be on a positive note, scientific research and compliances assurances. And talking about the language and state autonomy, Article 345 of the Indian Constitution empower the state to choose language for the official purposes, and in actual practices, several state and union territories continue to use English. Article 348 stipulate that all proceeding of the Supreme Court, for every High Court and for every bill, English should be the language. और 8th शेड्यूल की बात करें कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन में जहाँ पे 22 लैंग्वेजेस स्पेल की गई हैं, there are 22 languages which is specifically mentioned. So there's a complex language and complexity of the diversity of the Indian. In terms of language act की बात करें 1963 में mandate that the rules which is mentioned in 1976 and amendment which was made in 1987, 2007 and 2021. So accordingly the language purposes and the changes something that signify the diversity of the country. Article 351 direct the state development to Hindi, draw up the languages composite of the Indian culture, and this include Hindustani, which is not mentioned in the 8th schedule of the Indian Constitution. And there's a dissent view from time to time. 1955 में President of India ने appoint किया था Official Law Commission under the chairmanship of BG का. उसके बाद 1956 ने commission ने report submit की. The Commission on Committee on Official Language consists of 30 members were again formed by the Union Home Minister, and it mandated to review the progress which made use for the Hindi language official purposes to recommend to increase Hindi in official communication. It submit the report to the President of India, who forward the recommendations to the two houses. उसके अलावा नेशनल लैंग्वेज इश्यूज की बात की जाए, कल्चरल चौविज्म की बात की गई, दैट इमिनेट्स द एप्रीहेंशन फॉर ट्रांजिशन इंग्लिश लैंग्वेज अलॉन्ग विद द हिंदी. तो जरूरी है कि समन्वय हो, देयर शुड बी अ कोऑर्डिनेशन एंड सच प्रोसीजरल डिवाइस दैट इंस्ट्रक्शन एग्जामिनेशन ऑफ द टेक्स्ट बुक शुड ऑल्सो बी देयर, क्योंकि कई ऐसी जगह हैं जहाँ पे नेशनल एजुकेशन पॉलिसी की बात की जाए, हिंदी लैंग्वेज के प्रमोशन की बात की गई, राइट, विच इज नॉट सुटेबल फॉर द रीजन ऑफ सदर्न इंडिया. So its implication and competitiveness for the job market is also evident considering the fact that India is a globalized and liberalized economy. Now way forward की बात करें, constitutional course would be the part of the language of the Article 345 and legislation the use of Hindi to choose language for all official purposes. This make prudent for longer term political autonomy which implied in the cooperative federalism for the nation. So we have to choose as condition where the flourishment for region prosperity is there across north, south, east, west of the India. Moving to the MCQ questions of the day. Before I proceed, just to tell you the answers of yesterday questions. For first question, the correct option is C. For second question, the correct option is A. Today's MCQ for practice, Mission Vatsalya. It aims to reduce the infant mortality rate. Under the mission, the National Human Milk Bank or the Late Action Center will be established. So do check it out for the correct option, A, B, C or D. Now, other question is the Defense Acquisition Council. The Prime Minister of India is the chairman of this council. It was formed after the group of ministers recommended the reforming of the National Security Council in 2001 post-Kargil War. So this type of question from historical background and contemporary issues will be relevant for the upcoming prelims examination. This was all about for the daily news and editorial analysis followed by the MCQ questions. If you have any other concern, you can let me know. I'll be more than happy to assist you. For time being, I'm signing off. Thank you so much for watching this video.